Now, last thing before we get to our interview here with Michael Katz, like I said, let's kick it down to, like I said, we're kicking off spring football here in College Station, so let's kick it on down to Jimbo Fisher. Met with the media here on Friday afternoon as things are kicking off here in a very, very highly anticipated season for the Texas A&M Aggies after signing the nation's #1 recruiting class. And you're sending a lot of guys to the NFL, but you're getting quite a bit back. I mean, this should be, most accounts, people are going to have Texas A&M competing in the SEC West this season. Most projections, number 2, number 3 in the SEC West. If everything breaks right, maybe they dethrone Alabama. There's not going to be many people picking it, but there weren't many people picking Texas A&M to beat Alabama head-to-head last season, aside from old Brett Zerneman, of course, who nailed that prediction. But, hey, the expectations are there. You're hauling in elite classes. You got the talent to get to the college football playoff. You just got to put it together, got to be more consistent. And, of course, for the Aggies, it starts with that quarterback position. That's where they were lacking so much last season after Haynes King went down. Zach Calzada, just too inconsistent. Now it's Haynes King back fully, 100% back from his injury. You got the Max Johnson, the transfer from LSU, and the 5-star true freshman Connor Weigman. Here's what Jimbo had to say about the quarterback competition this spring in College Station.
Jimbo, talking about quarterback position, what do you expect to see from those guys this spring? What are you hoping to see from them?
Tremendous competition. Let me tell you something. How you get to become a better player is you got competition. That's what we want at every position. You want practice to be your greatest competition. Each and every day that you have to know you have to bring your A game to practice every day to make sure you have a job. And that's where your team gets better. That's how you grow as an organization. That's the culture in which you create the competition in practice, the way you practice, the intensity you practice with. I mean, of course, you want to see their leadership. I mean, their knowledge of the game, their decision-making, their accuracy, their toughness, their competitiveness. I mean, the quarterback is so many things, but the biggest thing it's going to bring is great competitiveness, and that's what we got to get at every position if we're going to grow as a team.
Now, one thing I really love about this, he talks about the competition, and I got to be honest with you, I don't know a ton yet about Connor Weigman, but, he's an in-state 5-star quarterback from the state of Texas, and everybody knows they do it different down there in Texas when it comes to high school football. There's no better proving ground. High school is obviously a significant step down from the SEC, but Texas high school will get you ready for it from that quarterback position with, all the pressure that is on these premier programs in the high school ranks. So Connor Weigman, I just don't think he's going to be ready, but I won't completely rule it out either. But who I'm really thinking about when Jimbo's talking about this competition, I mean, hell, every time we saw Max Johnson play, they always had to bring up how competitive this family was. They have a belt for ping pong, for basketball, for wrestling. They got the Johnson family, which now they got not only Max Johnson, but tight end Jake Johnson. And, of course, we all know son of Brad Johnson, Super Bowl winning quarterback there in the NFL. Their mom, I think, was a volleyball player at Florida State. I mean, this is a competitive family. So that fits in exactly with what Jimbo's talking about with the competitiveness. Max Johnson's going to bring that. And not to be outdone, Haynes King, son of a high school coach, head coach, I believe. And if I'm not mistaken, Haynes King either won a state championship or at least took his team to the state championship. So this is a coach's son, a kid that ain't afraid of competition. I mean, this is going to be arguably the biggest one to watch this offseason in the SEC when we're talking quarterback competitions. Max Johnson, Haynes King. Certainly seems like the 12th man is putting most of their eggs in the Haynes King basket. But I love Max Johnson too. I don't know if there's a wrong option here. Both guys can run the ball. Just haven't seen enough of Haynes King to really give you an evaluation on how he throws it. Max Johnson, inconsistent, but how much is that on LSU it's just been a train wreck on the offensive side of the football the last 2 seasons when I'm talking the coaching staff there in Baton Rouge. So how much is that on Max Johnson? That remains to be seen. He's going to a more stable program. He could potentially break out, but of course, so could Haynes King, who Jimbo Fisher here says is now 100% and ready for spring football.
Coach, is Haynes King 100% healthy coming off that
Yes.
injury and ready to be a part of this competition?
Yes, without doubt. He'd been outstanding. Been running all season, leading everything. I mean, that group now, I'm going to tell you what, there's you talk about leader. Haynes has had an outstanding offspring and running, jumping, doing everything. Max Johnson's been outstanding. And what he's done is so had Connor Wegman. All three of those guys, I'm really anxious to watch. I mean, you're going to get a fight, man. You're going to get competition's going to raise the level of play, which is very exciting for us, as you know. Definitely, you can't survive with one. But I mean, those guys. Blake Bosa's done a real nice job too. But those three guys have really excelled and from day one. I mean, like we say, we ranked our every off-season workout we get done. We did a rating system. You were playing championship football, you wear a maroon jersey, just from an effort standpoint. Effort, discipline, toughness, all the things you're doing. Not about physical ability. It has nothing to do with that. Just from all the intangibles, you make a choice about what you do. And if you were average, you were white. If you were below average, you were yellow. We didn't think we could win with you. And it was an eye-opening thing just to where we ranked them, how their effort was, to let them know where they were. Those guys from day one put on red jerseys and never took them off. I mean, there's been a lot of guys like that. Damani, I mean, been quite Anais. I can go on a bunch of them, but that whole position reminded me because right off the bat they jumped on it, man. And so I mean, they're pushing each other, which is what you want.
Quarterback's best friend, receivers, and that's another position where A&M's kind of been lacking, in my opinion. Not in overall talent, but in overall production. We've got all-American tight ends coming out of College Station nearly on an annual basis these days. Probably going to have that again with all the talent they have at that position in College Station. But we need some receivers to step up outside of Anais Smith. If you have missed the news, allegations of a domestic assault there in College Station. So he may not even be back, your five-star hope. Now, they got talent down here, and that's something Jimbo's about to talk about. But these guys really need to step up. That's what's been separating these Alabama teams, these LSU teams that are elite. I would even say Georgia. I know they didn't utilize those receivers quite as well as they could have with Stetson Bennett. Of course, they utilize, their passing game last season was mostly to the tight ends and the running backs. But you got to have game-breaking receivers, and I'm not talking one or two. You basically got to have 4 or 5 these days in college football. A&M's got that talent. They need these guys to put it together and have big seasons if Texas A&M's going to fulfill these incredible aspirations that the fan base has down there in College Station. So here's Jimbo on his team's receivers heading into spring football.
Hey, Jimbo, you always talk about the guys around the quarterback, right? So let's go to receiver. A lot of guys back. I know you just said Chapman's not going to be there, but between Anais and Jalen Preston and, oh, my God, I mean, the list goes on and on.
I know some guys in that group I've been really excited. I mean, I think Anais has had a really good offseason. I mean, he's shown great leadership. I mean, really jumped out there and did a great job. Where he's doing things, I think Moose has been I think Moose can be a really good player for us and keep going. Jalen's there doing a good job. He was banged up a little bit in spring, but he's coming back now. Devin Price has had a really good offseason. I've been very pleased with him. I think Kenyon Jackson's done a great job. Hez is still banged up, and Chapman's banged up. But Kenyon Jackson has done really. I've been very pleased. I'm anxious to hope we get that size and get that going. But Yul Keith's another one. Yul Keith has jumped. His quickness, his speed. And you saw some of that last year, but I think just grown in, getting that feet on the ground after a year, man, it's just I'm very excited for him to play. And, of course, I think Evan Stewart's done an outstanding job. He's been superb in our off-season workouts. Not trying to put pressure on him he's got to go play and learn, and we got to let him grow. And he may, like I say, there ain't no age limit on those things. Been very happy with him. So there'll be some great competition out there. I'm anxious to really watch where it goes. And a couple of them walking, I'm going to tell you, Serber and Campbell, those guys all done a good job.
All right, so we'll have a ton more on Texas A&M. I'm going to try to line up another guest for them this week to talk some Aggie football as they get going down there. But